Hey, my friends. Good morning. Trying out some new software. I use OBS, and I was talking to Armin Navambi yesterday. We did a live stream for Atheist Republic, and he's doing them like a stream to multiple platforms at the same time. And I thought it was really cool. And so, anyway, I'm trying the same. I'm trying to do a simultaneous stream to both Facebook and to YouTube. I don't know if it works. I can't even see a live stream right now on Facebook. So, um, anybody else see something? Leave this page. Oh, look, there it is. Okay, good. I guess it's working. So then if I choose, I can come over here and I can see the chat on one side. And then hopefully respond to the chat. So anyway, thanks for being a part of this live stream and a live stream. I hope you have a good day. Hang on just a second. Give me a confirmation. YouTube, you got me. Facebook, you got me. I think I see. Oh, do I see avatars? I see Facebook avatars and I see YouTube. Oh, good. Henry says good morning. Henry is not a morning dog. But we were up early this morning. He has tracheal collapse. It's a problem with these small animals. So we've been up coughing this morning. So we put him in the vape chamber. He breathes in a steroid that helps him. And then the doc gave him this narcotic that you have to have a prescription and you have to give them all of your information and you have to prove that you are using it for the dog kind of meds. So the thing about this cough medicine is that it just conks him out. So he's stoned. Little Henry is, if we were sitting on a couch, he'd be melted into my lap. If we were lying down, he'd be sleeping right here, and he likes to sleep under my neck where it's warm. And he was down in his little dog bed, but I wanted to make sure everybody got a chance to say good morning. So he's calmed down. His lungs have calmed down. It looks like he's doing better. They say that dogs resemble their owners, and I think this is likely true. Rat dog looks like Natalie, golden hair and, a girly girl kind of thing. And here, this is a ragamuffin. He's gray or graying. He's thinning a little bit. He's starting to thin. He's just uncouth. He's just not couth. So dogs really, in our case, really do resemble their owners. Anyway, Henry says, hi, good morning, and he loves all of you, okay? So we're going to do a live stream, pal, okay? He could just sit right here all day, but I'm not going to do that to you because I need to be able to do the show, okay? It's amazing how such a little animal can make such a big impact in your life. I'm supposed to go to a wedding today. Shit. All right, how do I get it so that the chat stays caught up here all the time? Family members getting married. I've had, by the way, complaints about putting the chat screen up on the monitor, but I don't know. It's apparently a convergence of both YouTube and Facebook chatters, and this is the way that people on both platforms can see what the others may have said or asked. So I'll try it. If you find it distracting, send your hate mail to seth@thethinkingatheist.com. I'm going to a wedding today. And yeah. Oh, no, it's not just a Thursday wedding. It's a Thursday 4 p.m. wedding. Okay. So here's what weddings are like for me. Most people tend to shop at the wedding store. And we'll talk about some atheism-related stuff here in a minute. And your comments, questions, if I don't see it, forgive me. Ask more than once. I'll try to find it. Most people, you go to the wedding and you're sitting in the pews or chairs or whatever, and you see they've got the candelabras and they've got the lace and they've got the wedding guest book and they've got the table for the gifts that you bring. And in the background, you hear this. Da, 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 da. I mean, it's almost irritating. Okay. So all of a sudden, the bridesmaids begin to walk in. Now, this is reminiscent of The Walking Dead because they're all just kind of doing that little trot, pause, step, pause, step, pause, step. If there are young children involved, you just never know what's going to happen there. You know, they run wild, they take the pillow and they throw it over here, or they start crying, or they lose their mind, or I don't know. Groomsmen are waiting up here. Bridesmaids get in, and now we stand. Here comes the bride, or whatever the song is. And then there's some pastor. Last time I went to a wedding, the pastor, I almost came out of my chair. And throttled the man mid-service. All right. And this wasn't even a close friend. It was a friend of a friend. I was there as a courtesy. So we're there, and they go through what is the standard wedding shtick in Christian churches. You know, the love we have for each other is reflective of the love that our Lord Jesus Christ has for us. And now I'm going to give a 12-minute sermon, which promotes my particular pet religion. I've seen salvation messages given at weddings. People will actually, I saw an altar call at a wedding. I saw an altar call at a funeral once, piggybacking this stuff on. All right, I'm going to come back to them. So then they look at each other and they say their vows, and you hear these platitudes like, the ring is a symbol. It has no beginning and no end, like the love that our Father has for all of us. Now it's special music time. Who chooses the special music? I don't know how many times it's been Shania Twain. From this moment, I have been blessed. Just put me out of my misery. They stare at each other uncomfortably for 4 minutes, 5 minutes till the song is over. Afterward, there's a final pronouncement. I now present to you, and blah, blah, blah. They've just so they walk down and we have the reception and everybody's kind of doing their thing. And the receptions in our churches are pretty benign. All right. And I'm shocked at how not personal many of these weddings are. Like the best weddings are the ones that are really about the couple. You know, they write their own vows and they sort of break the routine. They use a different type of program. It's not a sermon. It's really a celebration of the couple, their relationship. But what so often happens is the weddings become this thing, it's dragging religious baggage into the room. So I'm back at this wedding a few years ago as a courtesy for a friend. The guy, and forgive me if you've heard this story, the guy is talking, and he's a fundamentalist preacher that they shipped in from Detroit. He's there, and he's doing the message, and he says, now I'm going to tell you something that many people in the church don't like to talk about today. He was speaking to the bride. He said, the Lord has commanded you as the helpmate to do something. The Lord has commanded you to do something, and it starts with an S. And, of course, I'm in the audience, and I'm like, well, the word is submit. The Lord has commanded you to submit to your husband. And you hear a smattering of amens from the audience. I'm about to come out of my chair. Natalie's tapping me on the leg. Just, shh, just, Seth. I'm, what? God has appointed him the head of your house as Christ is the head of the church. And as humanity is the bride of Christ, you are the bride of your husband, and you must submit. That rolls out of my mouth. And I just thought to myself, God, this is supposed to be a celebration of two people joining their lives together. And instead it becomes a command to a kind of subjugation and slavery, right? Telling you, well, I'm sorry, you don't have a penis, so he's the final word. And that's just the way it is because God told me so. I almost came out of my chair. Oh, I swear. I mean, have you ever been to a service like that? I was at a funeral. Gosh, this was early 2017, I think. This elderly woman had died, a grandmother on the family tree somewhere. And the subtext of everything that happened was essentially a hell threat. We celebrate the life of this woman and believe we will see her in heaven one day because we are Christian. And we know that we are guaranteed heaven. And if you're not a Christian, this is a time for you to reflect and evaluate on your life. Pastors like to say your life in this way. Your life. To find out if you have a relationship with God so that you might avoid the damnation to follow. Now we're talking, there's a body. There's a corpse in the casket right here. Guy's on the podium. And we're supposed to be remembering her life, celebrating her life, talking about all the good, fond things that we'll carry with us into posterity. And instead, the guy is essentially telling everybody in the audience, if you're not our religion, you're going to burn. And you don't want to end up like this woman here and not have a get out of hell free card. So you better accept Jesus Christ. Now, he didn't have a specific altar call, but I thought to myself, it was so offensive to me. Oh, I swear. I don't know. Do you guys have any thoughts about that? Now, finally, allow me, if I may, to return to the chat room and see if I can address any comments or questions, anything that anybody else might have. Mostly, I've been working on an edit. I'm getting a show on the faith. I just actually got it's prepared and ready to go. The new conversation that's going to come out, the podcast, is with John Delancey, who will always be Q. And so we actually spoke a few days ago, but I've put it all together, and it's you're going to love it. He's a gem. And then I'm preparing a broadcast we're going to do once again exposing the faith healers. Faith healers, Peter Popoff, Benny Hinn, Kenneth Copeland, Bob Larson. I'm talking to a guy who actually sort of infiltrated a Bob Larson exorcism event, and there's video of him having a demon exorcised. Oh, God, it's awesome. You should see the video. I'm going to provide all those links, and we're going to talk about the faith healers. We're doing an exploration into the quote-unquote morality of the quote-unquote good biblical God. I don't know how many times I had it happen 2 weeks ago. Somebody was like, well, where do your morals come from? It just makes me crazy. How do you have goodness without my God? And I'm like, Jesus Christ, have you read your own Old Testament? Have you read your New Testament? I'm going to do that. Hector Garcia is coming up. I'm going to do a show with Tracy Harris. That'll probably air in February. I'm doing a showcase of, I think, 6 YouTube atheists, genetically modified skeptics. Shannon Q's going to be there, Holy Kool-Aid. We're going to have just a convergence of YouTube activists, kind of a new breed. And that's a weird place to be for me because now I'm sort of like the grandfather clock in the room. You know what I'm saying? People begin interviews like, well, Seth, you've been doing this a long time. You're kind of the old guard. What do you think of these newcomers coming up? And I'm just like, well, Sonny, let me get back to you on that. I can't remember the question. Yeah, that's exactly how I feel when they say these types. Am I that old? Am I that senior in atheist activism? I don't think so. I didn't think 10 years was all that long. But man, the way they speak, they're like, oh, you're kind of a long heritage. You have a long-standing show that is, it's been around forever. And so what do you think of all this new material coming out with all of these young people? That's like a knife in the heart. What do I think about all the young people? I'm 50, be 51 in April. I can feel myself starting to decay. Okay. Let's see. Let me scroll up. Very kind words from so many of you. Thank you so much. I don't have time to acknowledge all of them because there are so many in the chat room who are kind of sounding off. Thank you. It means a lot. Forgive me while I browse here. I can't believe people believe in. Well, I can believe that people put their faith in faith healers, but honestly, it kills me because these are so often people in moments of desperation. Right? They're vulnerable. They've been given a cancer diagnosis and a few months to live. They have no other recourse or alternative. And lo and behold, Mr. Popoff cruises into town and says, "Hey, let me pass the plate. You sow your faith seed. God will heal you." And then, of course, by the time she dies, he's long moved on to other cities. It's offensive. It's crazy. Some comments about submission. That's between you and your partner. I don't want to know. I don't need to know. No grudges. That's between you and your partner. Submissive. I like submitting. You guys are just so sexually free. Let's see. I'll scroll back down here to the bottom. Check out vMix instead of OBS. I've also been told to check out Discord. I don't know. I use the software to communicate. I'm not beholden to whatever software there is. I looked at Wirecast, but holy shit, it's like $1,000 to do what I'm able to do for free with OBS. So I decided against that. vMix, make a note. Favorite coffee mug. Kat said if I ever got married, I'd have Seth put on his best preacher voice. It's interesting. I have been asked to officiate a couple of weddings, be a secular officiant, which I would be honored to do if somebody really wanted me to. Forgive me, I'm totally cashed out. I have my Next Generation t-shirt on. And the wedding fell through. This was going to happen, I think, in California. And they said, would you come and be our secular officiant and we'll pay your expenses? And I was like, well, God, I'd be honored to be able to do that. I'm not registered, whatever California requires. But yeah, I mean, that'd be a lot of fun to be able to do. And I'd work with you guys to make sure that I was doing what you wanted, giving you what you needed. And I think they decided to not get married. They're, I think, living together and just decided they didn't need it, something like that. Somebody else was asking about maybe doing a secular wedding in the summer of this year. So, I mean, it might happen. And that'd be kind of cool. I mean, best weddings aren't the religious ones. The best weddings are the ones where they show photographs of the couple together and kind of their backgrounds. And there's some humor involved and storytelling, man. If you can get the officiant to take people on a journey and really sort of weave together a narrative that makes everybody a participant in this union instead of them just sitting back and sort of looking through the aquarium glass. Those are the best weddings. And I think I might be able to pull that off. So I don't know. Well, I mean, you were kidding about the preacher voice. I wouldn't do the preacher voice. I wouldn't go up there and go, "Oh, I want to thank you all for coming here today." I wouldn't do that. You guys see the shirt? You guys Next Gen fans? In the chat room, give me some quotes from that episode. I was trying to draw some from memory, and I was explaining to Nat, because she never watched Next Gen, and she's not a Trekkie. I know. How are we together? But she's not a Trekkie, and so she's like, what's Jalad? Seth Andrews, his face long, his heart sullen. It was a sad moment. But But for those who haven't seen the episode, it's a next-gen episode where Picard is essentially stranded on a planet with an alien creature that only speaks in these sort of cryptic sayings that represent a part of their past, kind of allegory. And yeah, I know it doesn't really pass the logic test, but he has to learn to be able to, if someone says, Shaka, when the walls fell, they are referring to an event where someone won or lost or was defeated or lived or died. And so that is the larger point they're trying to communicate. And so Picard has to learn to speak this kind of language. And it bonds to, actually, there's a lot of great messages in there about the other, about xenophobia, about empathy and understanding. And I know it doesn't pass the acid test. I mean, there's no way you're going to be able to communicate, to be able to develop technology to build a starship using these types of phrases, instead of saying, hey, pass me this tool, you would be like, hammer, the sparks flew. I don't know how you would construct a starship. But anyway, I got this shirt just because it made me laugh, and it's got, let's see, can you see it? It's got Picard, and he's at Tanagra. So it looks like a tour shirt. I just thought it was funny. It's geek humor, I guess. Star Trek: The Next Generation episode, let's see, season 5, episode 2. Yeah. Thank you, Seth, for commenting on the Missouri Facebook thread about the courthouse painting. Oh, yeah. So there is a protest filed by the Freedom from Religion Foundation about this 9/11 painting inside a courthouse that is religious, overtly religious. And they're saying, look, this is a religious painting. This is a religious piece of art, and this is a taxpayer-funded gig. And so they said, they sent a letter and said, we think you need to pull this. You are supposed to be a representative government, and not everybody in your county is Christian. Well, they live streamed yesterday the courthouse, the hearing, and it looked like a goddamn church service. We heard amens, and we heard, oh, praise Jesus. We had a guy come up, and he was talking, essentially warning everybody about the moral decay, and this is sort of our last stand, and what happens now. And it looked to me like the counselors were all sort of, they were subtle, but it looked like they were all sort of, on the religious side. And it reminded me of some of those city council meetings that happen down in Florida, where you've just got this convergence of overtly religious people who are exercising an alarming amount of Christian privilege, completely oblivious to what a blurring of the church-state line implies or could mean for generations to come. Try that shit with the Quran and watch them lose their minds. Bring the Vedas in there. Let's see how that goes. Let's bring Tobin Spirit Guide. Let's see if we can exercise some privilege for that one. But because they're the ones in power, they are the ones who are exercising a tremendous amount of privilege. And I was alarmed. It looked like a Pentecostal church service. I actually spoke in Bentonville, Arkansas in 2018. I was there with Nick Fish of American Atheist and several other non-believers who were making a statement about In God We Trust being displayed on the public school property and mandated In God We Trust. Well, of course, that's problematic on several levels. First of all, which God are you talking about? There's so many to choose from. Oh, okay, it's going to be a Christian God because this is an overtly Christian culture. What about the people who don't hold to a God, agnostic, atheist, whatever? And so we go in there and we talk about the dangers of religious overreach and how there is so much private property that religious messages like these can be displayed upon. It's not like we have an absence of land at people's homes, church land, nonprofit organization land. People put up their marquees and their banners and their large 200-foot crosses and their signs and their billboards and their symbols and all of this stuff completely freely. There's so much land, privately owned land, to do that. Why in the world do we have to put it in a public taxpayer-funded place like a school? And aren't you essentially saying, the subtext of what you're saying is that those who don't trust in a God, and they would rather trust in science, reason, the evidence, and humanity, are less. They're sub-citizens. They are less patriotic. They love their country less. They are good on a lower level than others might be good. They're second class. That's what the message really is, and that was what I tried to say to the city council. We were each given 3 minutes, and as I was speaking, and I was very respectful. I mean, mine was not a religion is bullshit speech. Mine was we need to be representative of all people, including people of different faiths and none. And we need to be reminded that the Constitution allows religion as a personal exercise, not a government one. And I was carefully manicuring this statement because it's Arkansas. Like, I knew that they were going to, they were going to probably blanch, and they did. One guy was shaking his head the whole time. He's just doing this as I was speaking. He was just like this. Did I just lose the monitor, everybody? I don't see I don't see a monitor. It says offline. You tell me. And they weren't listening. It's freaking Arkansas. And but there is video. I think it's linked on my Seth Andrews page on Facebook. If you'd like to go see it, just look for me. You'll see my face. And I think it's posted yesterday, which was the 9th of January, 2019. You can see it there. And somebody's pissed that I didn't answer a super chat. Forgive me, I'm using new software, so the super chats don't appear on my chat screen. So as I learn the software, I would appreciate your patience with me, and there's no need to go storm out of the room. Let me see if I can figure out how to follow super chats moving forward for the moment while I'm using just the Restream software and OBS. Please be patient with me, and thank you. Let's see, who else? Dennis says, "In God We Trust" is emblazoned on our sheriff's cars in East Texas. Oh, East Texas is going through something else. I can't remember the specifics of the story, but there's a guy that they're talking about ousting from a specific organization, public organization, taxpayer-funded organization, I think, because he is a Muslim, which is a religious test, right? It's just Christian privilege. Texas makes me crazy anyway. I think it's worse than Oklahoma. That's saying something. We in Oklahoma, we are a God and country, absolutely strawberry red state. Church on every half block, Jesus stickers on cars everywhere. The first 3 questions they ask you when you meet are, what's your name? What do you do for a living? Where do you go to church? People just moved in next door to me, and we're supposed to have dinner later this week, kind of an introductory dinner, and then I get the joy of telling him what I do. He's a worship pastor at a local church. He's a worship pastor at a local church, and he's the nicest dude. He's just the nicest guy. And but there's going to be that moment. What do you do for a living? Well, I host the atheistexperience.com website, community, podcast. And he and his wife and his children I don't know what they're going to do. He may already know. I don't know. But I'd rather create a relationship, foster a human connection, and we can figure out we can have the discussions about God later. When I first became an atheist, I remember feeling the need to go in and just lead with that, because everybody was so religious. They pray for the meal. They're wearing their John 3:16 T-shirts. They're talking about a mission trip their kids went on. They're just nonstop. And I used to lead with that. And now I'm more about tell me what you like. Tell me what you do for fun. Introduce me to your life in this way. And I don't walk in ready to do battle. In fact, I'm more interested in trying to figure out who you are. Granted, his religious belief is woven into what he does, probably a lot like my activism is woven into what I do. This is a big part of my identity, I guess. I'm kind of Natalie's like, you're a crusader, because she's not an activist and I am. And she's probably right. I can't sit still. Like, I can't not do this. You know what I mean? Do you ever feel that way? Like if someone said, you can't activist about this, you would be like, well, I'm driven to do this. This feeds something in me. If, will he close himself off and shelter his kids? And will he stop returning my calls or vice versa? And, I don't know. Or will we be two people who, despite our extreme differences on the issue of religion, be friends and friendly? I mean, again, the guy's been just precious. It's funny, we didn't have any Christmas decorations. I don't do Christmas decorations. This was the first year that I sort of broke that pattern. But Halloween, out the yin-yang, decorations. I love Halloween, and I've got the gate to hell in my front yard, and I've got the smoke machine with a little some kind of a conduit that I got at Lowe's. It's a plastic pipe that you can bend, and it's got fog funneling into the gate. So through the slats of the gate with an LED, with a red LED light in it, you see the smoke swirling from hell. And I've got the reaper and the gravestones, and there's fog I've got low-lying fog drifting across the grass, and it's awesome. And then I've got these LED floods. You can get them cheap on Amazon, $50, I think, and they've lasted for years. And they'll cast a huge light on the front of the house, which saves you from having to actually put lights on the structure. And so that's decorating for me. Well, Christmas came around, and we hadn't done anything. We normally don't do anything. I was 20 years ago, last time as I decorated for Christmas, outside of the house. And the running gag is that our side of the street was just going to stay dark. And my neighbor had just moved in. And he was looking around going, wow, man, everybody's put up their stuff. I feel like you and I and one other house over here, we're the holdouts. And so Natalie was thinking that she might decorate one tree out front. She took one ornament, a gold ornament, and she put it on our tree just to see how it would look. And we got interrupted. And so that one ornament in front of our whole house, the one ornament sat there on the tree. And it sat there for like a week until finally he said something. He's like, wow, I see you decorated for the holiday. And it became a running gag. And so the next day, early in the morning, I got up and I went up to where the Christmas decorations were for the Christmas tree and grabbed an extra gold ornament. I walked over to his house, in front of his house, and I hung it on his tree. It's on his tree now. It's still up. And so when he walked out to, get the mail or something, I happened to see him, and he was talking about the Christmas decorations, and I just pointed. And he saw it, and he busted out laughing. And we both just had this moment. And I'm like, you don't have to keep that up there. It was just something, it's a gag. And he's like, I love it. I love it. This is my Christmas. And that thing stayed up for the entire month of December. Okay. Well, we decided to go ahead and put out some non-religious. I'm not a fan. And then the nativity, really? I mean, even if you were playing it for a fantasy, unless it's a Star Wars nativity or you've done a zombie nativity or you're being creative, the actual nativity is so boring. It's so vanilla. It's so generic. Ugh, why would you put that as your decoration? What we did was we got a couple of these, and don't laugh because it was awesome. We got a couple of these wire decorated deer. And and they're all lit. They have integrated lighting in them, and they're bigger than the small little things that you might see as sort of an accent. I mean, these were deer. I had one with the big antlers, and then there was the female deer, and using blue and white LED lights, I created a river through the front yard, and it flowed here and it came there, and then it sort of wrapped around. And under the white and the blue LED lights, I funneled a piece of perforated pipe and connected it to a fog machine. And it was low-lying fog. So essentially what you had was the deer where one was drinking, actually had the head down drinking from the river, and the other was looking around with the big antlers, sort of standing watch. And in the river, you saw the steam coming out and sort of floating off and kind of cruising down the grass. It was a magical, enchanted scene, a winter vista, no religious symbols whatsoever. I took some lights, some blue and green lights, and I spread them upon the front of the house. And you know what? It looked a shit ton better than the crosses and the baby Jesuses I saw in other parts of the neighborhood, and I'm not being biased. It looked really good. It was classy, and some Christmas iconography, the symbols that they put out in their homes, on their homes, are so kitschy. It's like going to a bad carnival. Now, you know what I'm talking about? I mean, they're so kitschy. It's like you went to the souvenir shop and you bought the crucifix and you put it on the lawn. Is this pretty to you? By the way, that cross is a symbol of extreme horror and torture and execution. And why not put an electric chair in your front yard? Let's put a rack out there and stretch Santa Claus across the top of it, right? Jesus beats Santa Claus anyway. Oh, wow. Anyway, we did Christmas decorations this year and actually enjoyed ourselves. Natalie's like, Valentine's Day is next. I struggle with Valentine's Day. And I'm romantic, right? I love my wife, and we have love and tenderness and touch, and we go on dates, and we cook for each other, and we hang out, and rub each other's feet, and all that stuff, okay? Valentine's Day. Valentine's Day is not a holiday. There, I said it. Valentine's Day is not a holiday. Valentine's Day is not a holiday. Look, I know all major holidays are marketing. I get it, right? They set it up so that you'll go out and buy their crap, and I did it. I bought the deer. I bought electric deer and put them in my yard. I bought lights for an electric river and put them in my yard. I bought fog for the stream for the electric deer in my yard. I get it. I'm guilty. We bought gifts for the kids. We bought gifts for each other. I did it. I think Halloween's the second most profitable Halloween next to Christmas. Halloween's the second most profitable holiday. Weird convergence of words there. Next to Christmas. The commerciality of Halloween, I get it. I enjoy it. There's something about the commerciality of Valentine's Day that just makes the bile come up in the back of my throat. An expectation. It is a setup. You must buy something that demonstrates your love, and the more expensive, the better. Now, I'm not saying all people do this. I'm saying this is the expectation in popular culture. You must go buy flowers, and you have to buy jewelry, and you have to do this. And if you do not, you are set up to fail. So when all of her friends say, "What did he get for you for Valentine's Day?" and she says, "Nothing," you have just you have just risen to the top of the asshole category, right? You have just risen to the pinnacle of assholery. He didn't get you anything? No. He didn't get you any roses? No, he didn't get you any roses. Did he buy you a necklace? No, he didn't buy you a necklace or earrings, any of those. It's a setup. So now they say, you don't have to buy me anything for Valentine's Day. Don't worry about it. What's that meme from Return of the Jedi? Well, Jenna Rockbar says, it's a trap. It's a trap. It's a trap. And I just think a gift is more of a gift when it's not expected by some third party and when it's not rigged, so that if you don't buy the gift, then all the other stuff that you do for the rest of the year and the rest of your life, every minute of every day that you're focused on each other, that sort of goes by the wayside. That's a little bit of the temperature of Valentine's Day. Now, it may not be true in your own life. For me, it's best spent with a gift of time. Hey, honey, let's go out and spend an evening together at a restaurant that we love. Hey, I'll take you to the movies or something like that. Let's go hang. Let's be together. But this idea that if you do not purchase item X and deliver it with a bow on it, you have failed the partner test, the husband test, whatever. And I think some guys kind of know, and to those who have no expectation on Halloween, thank you. Good for you. I mean, that's amazing. But I see it all around me. I see it all around me. This expectation. Buy our shit and give it to her, or you're an asshole. That just makes me blanch and not want to do anything. I want to talk. I want to do it when I want to do it. I want to do it on my terms. I want to buy the gift that I want to buy for her, that I know that she wants or needs. I don't want to go to freaking Zales and buy a gem that's been unreasonably marked up. What is that Adam Ruins Everything video that talks about how diamonds really aren't all that valuable, but thanks to De Beers and other organizations, they are essentially selling a perception of rarity so that the price can go up. We're paying way, way, way too much for things that quite often are harvested under abysmal conditions, human rights nightmares, and they cost so much more than they're worth. Oh, how did I get off on that subject? Okay. Susan says, exactly, a gift on a random day. Just because. Those are the best gifts. Right? A surprise. Those are the best gifts. Something small can be huge. Sometimes a big gift looks like you're trying too hard, and I'm all about, having those big surprises. Sometimes there are no little things. Focus on each other. Leave a note. Show up at her office and surprise her for lunch. Create something special. I remember once, I think it was Valentine's Day, I actually did this. But I wasn't going to do the flowers and the candy, and so what I did was I hired a chalk artist to come to our home while she was out. She was working on that day, and I had him, he was just like a college student, but he had real skills as an artist, and he drew a big chalk message on the driveway. And it says, when you come home, we're walking on sunshine. And it had a big sun that he had drawn with the rays coming outward. And it was beautifully done. I could have never accomplished anything like that. It took him half a day. These big chalk pieces. He was down on his hands and knees and whatnot. I tipped him more than the actual fee was because I felt so bad that he was out there working his ass off. And then she had no idea when she drove home. She drove up to the driveway, which was angled up just a little bit, and she was able to see a message for her. And everybody else in the neighborhood saw it. It says, when you come home, we're walking on sunshine with the big sun. And she was like, oh, and that's a memory, right? The first rain washed it away, but the memory of it is something that she will carry with her forever. And that's my kind of party right there. Once we got married on a glacier in Alaska. You've probably seen the photos of the video. Honestly, it was cheaper than having it local. Just fly up there and get on a little plane, go up and have the ceremony on our own terms. A friend was a secular officiant. On our 1 year anniversary, I had an ice sculptor come over, and he sculpted a tiny glacier in the front yard. It was August the 1st. It was 100 degrees outside, and he made this. He took this block of ice. I mean, it wasn't huge, and he had carved it into what looked like a glacier, a small glacier, and he sat it on the front yard. And Natalie walked out to the out front for something, and there was. I said, I can't take you back to the glacier, but I'll bring the glacier to you. Right? That sucker was gone in an afternoon. 100-degree weather just rendered that thing liquid almost in no time. But she'll never forget what happened. It was a personal thing. It was about the memories. The other challenge with doing stuff like that is that if you do creative things like that, you start to struggle for new ideas. You ever find that? It's like, oh shit, I've already done the chalk on the sidewalk, and I've already done the big block of ice. What am I going to do next time? That gets a little bit difficult. Okay, a couple more, and then we'll call it a day. I think I've babbled long enough. Speak the truth, Seth. That question, what did he get you, sank me. Oh, yeah. Matt says, I'm pretty sure St. Valentine was murdered by a leprechaun, but don't quote me on that. Hey, if it's not true, it ought to be. Is the ice sculpture tax deductible? Seth might be the best house. No, I got a lot of talk. Honestly, it's not always easy living with an activist. I am working even when I'm not working, because this is not just my job, but it's what I love. It's hard for me to shut this off. So it's not uncommon for us to be around in the evening, and we'll be sitting on the couch or in the kitchen or whatever, and I'll be like, oh crap, I need to go and upload this file for tomorrow. Or, oh, I just had an amazing idea. Or, oh, I have to do an interview that I scheduled a month ago, and they were only available at 7:30 p.m. tonight. And so she sort of loses me in that way. And she's very patient. But it's hard. It's hard being with an activist if you're a non-active. Hell, it might be hard if you are an activist yourself. She is, kind of she likes peace. She doesn't enjoy conflict. And I'm one of those people who, when I see something outrageous on the news, I'm yelling at the television. This is the stupidest thing I have ever seen. This is an injustice. This must be rectified. We must do battle against the evil. I'm that guy. And she'll just look at me and she'll be like, you cannot solve all the problems in the world. Yes. All of the problems in the world must be solved. That's how I approach it. And she just shakes her head at me. And she's like, you need balance in your life. And balance is hard for activists. Balance is hard for people like me, people like you probably. It's hard to flip a switch and shut it off. And if you love what you do, if you love battling bad ideas and trying to foster good ideas, if you love being a part of the conversation about science, reason, the evidence, discovery, the evolution of humankind, the evolution of our thinking, then, it's a pleasure. I enjoy getting into the mix. I enjoy getting into these conversations and stirring the pots and challenging and being challenged and being about ideas and all these things. It's like the Thunderdome for the intellect. And she's just like, you cannot fix the world. And she's right, but I must fix the world. Do you ever feel that way? So no, it's not always a picnic being my spouse. I'm asked why I get up so early. I was up about 5:30 today, 5:15. I don't know. I'm a morning guy. I like the morning. It's quiet. It's peaceful. I get my coffee. I can get my head together. The noise of the world hasn't kicked in. I'm very much a morning guy and have been since I started in morning radio. I think I did morning shows back in 1992. I started in 1992. And Matt Dillahunty and Arn Raw and my buddies out in activism will go out to a convention. And I'm selectively social. I love people, but I'm not a big socialite. I'm not a party guy. And will go out to a convention and like Saturday night, hey, we're all going out to the bars. And I'm like, good night. We're going to go and have a big event. And I'm like, I would prefer to go and sit in a corner and maybe one or two people and have a quiet dinner and chill and decompress. And I'm just fine being in my room and, kick back, watch the TV, Skype Natalie for a few. I don't need that. I'm not that guy. I'm not that guy. And on top of that, I get sleepy at about 8:45. So while everybody else is preparing their night on the town, I'm already feeling the heaviness of my own eyelids, and I'm kind of ready to call it a day. Loved your speech for the CFFC in Florida. Thank you, Joy. That speech is called Unskeptical, Finding the Real Truth in a World of, or Finding the Real Story in a World of Half-Truths. I'm preparing some new material. I'm going to be touring in 2019. I am already confirmed to be at Houston Oasis on March the 24th. It looks like I may be in Austin the day before, March 23rd. That's unconfirmed. They're working hard on the 22nd of March in Dallas, Texas. I'm not 100% on Dallas and Austin. They're still looking at logistics, venue, all of that type of stuff. But it looks like it's going to be a Texas run. The American Atheist Convention is going to be in Cincinnati this year. It's going to be on Easter weekend, as always. So if you're interested in any of those tour dates, the most current tour calendar is sethandrews.net. And you will see the speaking tab, and I'll get those updated on thethinkingatheist.com just as soon as I can. But looks like I'm doing the Colorado Secular Conference in the summer. That's July. East Coast is a possibility this year. We're looking at maybe getting up to the D.C. area. So, I got a lot of possibilities coming, and I'm preparing some new material that's not like Unskeptical. It's not really atheism related as much as it is humanism related. And it's going to be about people, and it's going to probably speak to a lot of people who deal with trying to communicate, to communicate, to be understood, and to understand in the social media verse. And how do we retain our humanity while doing battle against some horrible ideas? I don't know. It sounds kind of sterile when I talk about it this way, but you guys know my style. I'll bring some flash and some punchlines, and we'll sort of take a journey together. Final question. Matt asked, what's the situation with my computer? It's replaced. Dell took about a month, but they finally made good on an extended warranty, and I am back, and I'm up, and I'm running, and I'm using it now, and so far it's been smooth as butter. So that's pretty exciting to finally be back. Working on a laptop, honestly, it's tough. Plus, I've gotten used to the Ergo keyboard. I've got this Ergo keyboard. And so, you're used to having your hands sort of propped up in a comfortable position. It's easier on your wrist. I've got a little bit of tingling in the hands, and I thought it might be carpal. And so, going from an Ergo keyboard to a standard keyboard, especially a laptop keyboard, is a bitch. It is so hard. I was correcting more things than I was typing. So anyway, I appreciate you watching. Thanks for putting up with any issues that we might have with this stream. It's the first time I have used this particular software, Restream. Let me know what you think. If you have an opinion about it, just drop me a quick email. Use Seth at sethandrews.net. That'd be the good one to use. And, did it work for you? Would you like to do this again? Does multiple platforms, is that appealing? Are there any other platforms we should add to the stream? Chat, yes, no? Do you like it on screen? Can you see it in another window somewhere? You tell me what you think. Seth at sethandrews.net. I can't guarantee I can reply to them all, but I certainly will do my best to read everything that comes into the inbox, okay? And in the meantime, have a wonderful week. I'm going to go get ready to go to a wedding, and I'll see you later.